Send it through an email. A free gift. You just pick a flag. You see it. You think you have, and you started. The next thing you plug it to your system. Then you plug it, the back door enter and install by itself. So all these things are different ways. I can send a picture to you and say, okay, just open this picture and check the content that I sent to you. In fact, I can just snap you. Maybe I can just snap you, and then I will send the picture to your WhatsApp to open. And under the picture, I will have implanted a backdoor there. So immediately you open the picture, the backdoor software will just be installed on your system, and that's the end. So all these things are what happens when you are prone to attack. So another one we talk about is denial of service, and I told that denial of service is when you make service unavailable, either by destroying the services or by locking up the services of the person. Like I can have access to your PC and lock all your hard disk. I can encrypt your hard disk, and your hard disk will no more boot. I can lock your system and it won't boot up until you pay the ransom, or until what I want to achieve is achieved. I can encrypt all your files, your important files. I can do a lot of other things to you by just accessing it. And that's what we call denial of service. I will make service of your system not available for you to use. I can also do it to an organization. Like I said, like for example, now, if I discover that Lautech now is doing registration for admission, I can just disrupt their server. And so nobody will be able to register. Or maybe. And that's why when you perform any fraud online, how did they track them down? And they are able to locate them and arrest them is IP address. Because once you are from. And so what they do is, so most of those websites will reject, if your IP is coming from Nigeria, they will reject it. They won't allow you because they believe a lot of fraudsters activity that have happened through Nigerian. So you understand? So because of that, they don't allow Nigerian people to communicate or get access to those websites. So what they now do is they will go and get international IP, maybe IP of US, IP of UK, IP of Canada, IP of whatever, and they will use that IP to cover up their Nigeria IP. So when they get to that website, the website will think that they are coming from the country they use. For example, now I can use IP of US. I need to cover up my system, my same IP. And so when I get to the site will see, instead of thinking that I'm coming from Nigeria, it will be thinking that I'm coming from US. And so it will allow me in. And that's what we call masquerading, or that's what we call IP spoofing. So they are or they use that to cover up my own IP. And with that, I will be able to access the resources I want to access. That's what we call IP spoofing. IP spoofing. IP. So that you get access to where you are not supposed to have access to. So pretending to be someone else For example, like I said yesterday, they can be pretending to be your that for you. That's still masquerading because they are telling you who they are not, and they are using that trick to get information from you. So all these are tricks that can be played on you on the network. Another one that is very, very important, very, very important, that I want everybody here to take note of is what we call man in the middle attack. Man in the middle attack. Most of us we can fall for this particular attack, and it's very, very easy. Because why is it possible? Why is it very easy? Because we like free thing. We like free thing. Let me ask you, if you get to a particular place and you see a Wi-Fi, open Wi-Fi that is open, no password, will you connect or not? Eh? Almost everybody here will connect. Once you just see a Wi-Fi that is free, no password, the next thing we just quickly connect to it. The film that we have not been able to watch for the past 5 months, we start to download. That is what happened. You know that when you connect to a free Wi-Fi like that, especially when you don't know the owner, you are making yourself on. So what happened? Let me give you an example. I can just put on a Wi-Fi and I will make it open for everybody. So what will happen is that under my, as I told you yesterday, I will have put something like Autorouter and packet sniffer. I will have set it up. Information will just be coming to me directly. So it means if you want to go to Facebook, immediately you type facebook.com and you press enter and you send, I can open it. And I mean, if your message should be delivered to the destination that you connected to that my Wi-Fi, you are sending a WhatsApp message. And then it got, immediately you send the account number, so it's my account number that will get to your uncle. Then your uncle, you are now shouting your uncle the next time. Your uncle, where is the money? Your uncle say, I have sent it. Then you now say, I didn't see anything. So that, but because the money have gotten to another person. So all these things are possible sending, I can be seeing them. So if it's possible that you send your username and password for a particular link, I can open it and attack. When you connect to a Wi-Fi that you don't know the owner. Even when you know the owner, you don't even know the purpose why the person make it free. I just think that you saw a free Wi-Fi and you connect to it and you are using it. So let me give you a suggestion. For example, now if I see a free Wi-Fi, I will connect to the Wi-Fi and I will use it free and nothing will happen. So how can I get that done? When you see a free Wi-Fi and you want to use it, don't just use it free, nakedly. Don't use it nakedly. Ensure you make use of what we call VPN. Ensure you make use of VPN. So when you see a free public network that is free, either hotel Wi-Fi or airport Wi-Fi or any organization Wi-Fi that you just see free of charge like that, ensure that before you do anything confidential, connect to a VPN first. I believe some of us know what is VPN, right? Do we know what is VPN? No. So, okay, some of us know. What is VPN? We call it virtual private network. Virtual private network. What it does is that it makes you to bypass your man in the middle. For example, now, if you are using MTN or you are using Glo or you are using it before it gets to the destination, so they act as man in the middle. But the reason why we are not being fearful of using them to communicate or to transact is because they are legal. Every communication you are making, all your browsing history, all your calls, all your messages, all your WhatsApp, everything is being stored on their own server. That's why all the call you have been making since you bought the line, they will release it to them. They have all the log of all your calls, all your messages, all the website you have visited since you have been using that line, they are recorded. So what will happen now, if you don't want your information to be recorded by all these networks, you can bypass them. And the way to bypass them is to use what we call VPN. So the way VPN will work is that it's a method of using IP spoofing. It's the method of performing IP spoofing. What does it do? Once you launch the VPN, you can install it to your phone, you can install it to your system, you can make it a browser security session, or you can make it a proxy. So what it does is that Once you connect to the VPN will ask you either which country do you want to connect to. So if I say I'm connecting to Canada, it will automatically change my IP from Nigeria IP to Canada IP. So automatically, instead of my information to be passing through MTN, all my information will be bypassing MTN and go to the server of the VPN directly. And from that server, it goes to the internet, where I want it to go. So automatically, MTN that I'm using will never know anything that I'm doing online. They won't even know whatever is my activities. So if you want to use public network, you can make use of that VPN. So bypass the man in the middle. So if somebody is now setting up man in the middle at percussion, and because the person will not be able to get what you are doing, you see free Wi-Fi or free network. Attacker normally do that very well. There's nobody that will not want to connect to free Wi-Fi. And so you easily attack them through that. And so once that is done, you can easily get their information and hack them. So another one that we want to talk about is packet sniffer. Yes, packet sniffer, or with the man in the middle attack. For example now, if I want to know what is going on in the network, it's a software. You just install it to your system. Once you install it to your system, as all the systems are communicating from one system to another system, from one PC to another PC, or from phone to another phone, you will be seeing it on the packet sniffer. Because it will be recorded target and which one you don't want to target. You can know which of the network nothing before you can understand them. So you need some knowledge of networking to be able to what's happening in the network. And it helps us to gather some useful information that you can use to attack the network. So if you are a network administrator, I will know which PC in the network is an intruder. Then I can quickly disconnect that particular PC out of my network. I discover that PC, I can lock them out of the network. So the network administrator use it to protect their network. Wants to. So as a cybersecurity or network security officer, you will need it to protect which organization you are working with against any attacker or any black hacker that we told yesterday. So another one, our negligence. When you just release your PIN, you just release your password to your friend anyhow. Or you are supposed to log into your session before you can communicate to the server, and you just give your password. And by the time they are tracing, they will trace the fraudulent work to you. Whereas it wasn't you, somebody else has impersonated you, but because the person just release your password anyhow. Then when you are setting up site and say I am this and that, and be requesting for information from a junior colleague or from a junior staff, and be expecting that you will get it. So if there is a strict restriction on information dissemination, anybody cannot just call anyhow and get information from anybody, except the person that you are supposed to report to. So if all these are not implemented, that's if you are working, if you are the cyber security of your company, they are to against all this information dissemination. I cannot access the server directly of the organization, but there is somebody, one of the users, I can connect to the PC of that person, and I will get the resources that I want to get. And so this is another question I want to give you. If you are a cyber security of an organization, ensure in an organization is this PC that have all these ports what we normally connect to whenever we want to attack any PC. When we want to port of the PC is open. So once we are able to see go and analyze the service. For example, now let's say I scan your phone and I discover that WhatsApp is running on port 50. And port 50 is open because WhatsApp is on your phone. So if the WhatsApp, so if I can see any loophole on the WhatsApp, that's the end. I will go through the WhatsApp to enter your phone through the port. That's just it. So that is why if your PC, if anybody's staff in the organization is not the server, if their PC is not the server, ensure that their port is closed. So the only piece that is safe is the piece that have all these ports closed up, so that nothing is open for attacker to come in. And if you are running outdated window and your window is not updated, that's why whenever Windows send you an update, always ensure you use it. You update your system. There is a reason why they are sending updates, and there is a reason why they are updating their OS. Some of the update might be using that to exploit people. So once they discover that, they will quickly go back, their developer will quickly go back and go and rectify the breach. And so once they rectify your PC, you are still running on the old one that has been breached. So that same B can be used to attack anybody. But once you update your system with the new update, it will cure that particular breach. It will rectify the software that have errors in the code, that have bug in the code, can be an access for an attack. If there is a bug on your system, in fact, that's a true access for me, because I don't need to perform social engineering. It's only if there is no bug on your system, if there is no vulnerability on your system, that's why I will get a backdoor access into your system. But if there is vulnerability, I don't even need that. So always ensure that you run, number one, antivirus, a good antivirus. One of the way to get yourself out of window, if you are using Window Defender, always ensure that Window Defender is updated and is on. Those Window Defender, they are very active. Some of them, once they see backdoor, they know that this is a backdoor, they will remove it immediately. Most of the antivirus, they understand backdoor programs, and once they see it, they will remove it from your system immediately. In fact, once they see, they might not even allow it to install, because most of the backdoor we install underground, they won't let you know when they are installing themselves. So because when you know it, you might want to stop it, so they will just install underground without letting you know. But your antivirus will know, will detect it from the underground, and then it can easily help you to quarantine it immediately. An updated Window Defender if you are using Windows. So all these things can help you to, and then ensure also that you turn on your firewall. There is no PC that doesn't have firewall. Firewall is one of the security. Ensure you turn on your firewall of your system. It's very, very important. All these things are. Most time, the public is always on to allow file sharing. If you know you are not going to be sharing file with anybody, ensure that you don't enable the file sharing on your system. Once file sharing is enabled, it's also another way to exploit you. It's another way to exploit you. We can go through file sharing menu of your system, just normal because we are connected together on the network. I can access your system through file sharing platform that is there and get access to the resources I want to access. So there is a lot of security implementation that you need to perform. You can also ensure that your phone is also secured. We act. So don't forget, we mentioned the 3-level layer of security. We talk about the network layer security forms. All the 3 architecture must be protected and well.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I hope we had a great night. You locked your doors and your windows. Oh, don't lock the windows and eat. It's going to be very much. So, starting with web, the web, the web like, or the web like we know it. We're going to be starting with the web. We all have used the web at some point in time, now, Abby. We have all used the web at some point in time, Abby. So, can you guys give me maybe for e-commerce, okay? Sir? Logistic, okay. Like everything he has mentioned so far is school stuff, like someone that went to school. If you not go to school now, you'll be finding it hard to understand what is e-commerce, what is logistics. Playing online games, that one too is there. That is awesome. At least I can understand that one. Any other person? For research, that is true. That's very true. I was hoping someone would say for banking, like at least we all do our OPay now. Abi, you buy airtime. Nowadays, you can even check that there's light on the internet. Can you imagine? I think there's this interface that there's this website that tells if there's lights on that G, there's light. So how did they do that? Like, how did they connect lights to the internet? Please, right? And now you can use internet to switch on bulbs. You can be here and you press something on your phone and then one light on in your room, right? You can use internet or a website to check for CCTV cameras. You can be here and you can be checking the CCTV camera. If you have a house in London, you can be checking to make sure that nobody is penetrating your house now, Abby. So those are just various functions of the web. So I want to talk about how all those things work actually in reality, right? How is it that you have been having access to the web? How is it happening, right? I want to discuss some very few things. And in networking yesterday, they spoke about some, like HTTP. Do we remember what HTTP means? The full HTTP. Anybody? Ma? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Very good. So HTTP means Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it is used to send, or it is used for systems to communicate over the internet. You understand? Systems, just like me now, I'm an Igbo guy, right? And I know majority of us here we are Yoruba now, Abi. So if I didn't understand English and I'm speaking Hebrew, I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. No, now, Abi. So you all like Kilonso, that kind of thing now. Like, Kiniton so Abi. Did I say that right? Oh God, my Yoruba. I'm still learning. Please, bear with me. So the English is the major. It is the major language or the general language that we use. It's not our fathers or our mothers' language, but it's the major language so that we all can understand. At least I know everybody in this room understands English now, Abi. So now for web applications to be able to communicate for your system, you're all using different systems, different devices. Some use Linux, some use Solaris or Solana, Abi, what's the name of that operating system? There are all sorts of operating systems, and those operating systems need to be able to communicate with a server on the internet, right? And be able to understand each other. Now, how has all those things been happening? How is it that you're able to send information from your mobile phone? I don't know, have you ever thought about it? Like, you just go to Google and search for something and the thing comes back to you. How does it actually happen? You understand? It takes about is DNS. So I'll be introducing us to DNS today. And DNS stands for Domain Name System. So just like your mobile phones, when you collect somebody's number, so let's assume I collect, my guy, what's your name, sir? Ridwan. So assuming I collect Ridwan's number and I want to save his name as Ridwan on my phone, right? I'm going to collect the number base. I think it's 11 characters. Ridwan's now, Abi. So I want to save it as Ridwan. So I ask him, I might not really know the spelling of Ridwan. So I have to ask him, please, what is the spelling of Ridwan, Abi? So R-I-D-W-A-N, Abi? ID. So something that is short that I can understand, depending on, my level of intelligence. I'm not too smart, so please bear with me, right? So now that is something I remember. Now, anytime I'm going to make a phone call to Mr. Ridwan here, I'm not actually making a phone call to the name I save it as. The name is just for me to be able to remember. Now, anytime you make a request, let's say you try to receive something from Google. Maybe, I don't know, what do you guys usually search from Google? Let's see. Let's say there's a new Call of Duty update, right? And I don't know how you people do it though, but I'll assume at first you have maybe Google said maybe someone told you that 24 or for October, blah 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 blah, right? So now, what you actually did is you said I want to search for COD updates, Abi. You send that. Mr. Toby spoke about OSI model yesterday. Now, all those things, you send. What you send is COD update, Abi. So it goes to your system. Your system does not understand COD updates. So the first thing that is going to happen is, so since you are Google searching, right, it's going to ask for, okay, what is the IP address of Google? You don't know the IP address of Google. Your system does not know the IP address of Google. Let's say you are doing this early in the morning, like 2 a.m. in the morning. I know something we call a cache on our mobile phones or our system. So that local cache is just a place where things are saved temporarily. You understand? The things don't last there. It's just there so that you don't have to be doing all those things every time. You understand? It's just like your brain. There's just a particular part of your brain that allows you to be able to remember things. You understand? So that is the purpose of the cache. So anytime you ask for something, because of that resource, instead of going all the way to the internet to ask for it, to just go to that place in your cache and ask for that thing. Do you understand? So now, if Google's IP address is not on your cache, right, it's now decides that, okay, this thing is not here, then it decides to ask from your ISP. So the information is sent to your ISP. Your ISP means Internet Service Provider. That is like MTN, Airtel, blah, 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 blah. I don't like Globe. So they all now decide that, okay, if them don't have the IP address of Google, let's assume that nobody else has also maybe made a Google search from Google on MTN. Let's use MTN as an example. So nobody in the whole of Nigeria has made, I don't know, it's very funny, but nobody in the whole of Nigeria has made a Google search for anything by 2 a.m. to MTN. So then MTN now does what we call a recursive DNS query. So the recursive DNS query is, what does recursive mean? Recursive means something that is happening consistently. You understand? So it is just going to consistently be sending it out, sending all those information that, oh, I don't have the IP address of Google, so I want to constantly be I want to find a way to get all that information. So he sends it all the way to the root server. Now, the root server, according to Unix, what root means is, I like to say it means in the term of Unix, so please, it means God, the beginning of all things in Linux. Do you understand? On root on Unix platforms, root means God, the beginning of all things. So when your mobile device asks for that request and it sends it to the cache and the cache has no way to get it, it sends it all the way to the ISP or the recursive DNS server. Then those ISP don't have that Google search, or they don't have anybody who has Google search. Then they send it all the way to the root server, the one at the top. So the one at the top now knows that, okay, you are looking for google.com. And google.com, the .com there is what we call a top-level domain, a TLD. So the root server knows where to send the information for google.com, that .com in it. So he just sends the information, also, oh, this is the place that holds .com. So there are several top-level domains. There's one for .com, there's one for .org, there's one for .ng, .pk, .uk, those ones are geographical top-level domains. You understand? So it knows, the root server knows where all those things are. So it's just that everything is in front of him. So he just says, oh, this one is the .com. He now sends it to the .com guy. You understand? And that's containing the .com. So once it has been sent to the .com guy, it now goes into it and says, oh, now I'm looking for Google. So it will just go to search. And whenever you are making a domain name, right, so whenever you are making a domain name, you cannot make domain. There's only one Google. So on the authoritative domain server, right, there is no other GOOGL. So you just go there and go and grab the GOOGL. You understand? IP address of Google. Then that IP address is now going to be put down where? On the OSI model. Can anybody guess? If you guess it right, I'll give you something. Sir? The IP address that is gotten back, the Google IP address, where on the OSI model is it going to be placed in? Not client side. OSI model. Ladies and gentlemen, Badman something then. So it goes on and it's going to be update for Google now. What it understands is 1 and 0. So it will be converted from that that update for Google to the binary symbol of it, right? And then once it has been converted to something that the computer can understand and every other encryption has been sent, it will now be sent down to the session layer. The session layer will make a session, you understand, with the Google IP address that you have. It is going to make a session with Google server. Once the session has been established, those other information will be sent down to which layer? Sir? Ma? Yeah, what does the transport layer do? Anybody? What does the transport layer do? Oh, God. You people did not listen yesterday. Yeah. Okay, so what does it do in this case? Ma? Someone say something. I had hydrogen. HTTP has a common port on our system. So every port on a system, on every device you have, every networking device that you have on your hand, right, has 65,535 ports. 65,535. It has 65,535 ports. So far it can connect to the internet. So far it's a networking device, it has 65,535 ports. So among that 65,535 ports, there's 1,023 ports that is what we call the well-known ports. Now, that well-known port is what services like HTTP, DNS, FTP, SMTP, and SSH use to communicate. Now, HTTP's port by default is port 80. It's not on this place, so I'm saying it offhand, just so you know. So it's port 80. So port 80 is what it's going to use to communicate. So when it gets to the transport layer, it already knows by default that, oh, this is an HTTP request, Abby. We are speaking HTTP now. So it's just going to send information to Google's port 80. You understand? Once all that one has already been sorted out, right? And in this case, since it's going to be using HTTP, and you are just making a request to get something, right? You are not going to be using UDP. Because if you remember, transport layer has two protocols, two major protocols, right? Which is the TCP and the UDP, transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol, right? So once it has already determined that, oh, this guy is making use of TCP, right? It's now going to send it down to the network layer. Then this network layer is going to encapsulate the IP address that you got from DNS query, plus some other information that you received from the transport layer and presentation layer and the session layer. Then it's now going to be sent down to the data link layer. In data link layer, what do you think happens there? What happens in data link layer? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody. Jesus Christ. People are just smiling at me. Oh, yes, sir. MAC address. Thank you, sir. You said? Carries the source. And the MAC address. Now, what does the MAC address do? The media access control. The MAC address is it's just like your thumb. You know, your thumb has a very unique, I don't know what they call it. Is it spiral then? Right? So that spiral, anywhere you put it, it only identifies you. You understand? So it is unique. God burnt it into your skin. So the devices can never be misplaced for each other, or it can never be misunderstood for. I'm just going to send it over the wire. And then it's now, you know all these antibiotics now? The way it is. So at the end of the day, when it gets to your physical layer, it's just going to be like the pack one by one, until it gets to the application layer of Google server. Requests, right? And the response is now going to come back as a Google. So that is the way things work. So now, my next topic is, have you ever asked yourself, and in this case, I'm assuming that OPE is using a web interface, so not a mobile interface in this case, like you are, right? So have you ever assumed, or have you ever asked yourself of how rain fell, or how rain falls? How do you think rain used to fall when you were a kid? For the ones that are kids, how do you still do it? Sir? Somebody's guys. And we are all drinking the water and say it's the purest. How do you think thunder has, happened? I used to think it's like maybe somebody, there's this, when I was young, there was this very big bath my mom had. You know those big bowls, and there's this cover, you just drop the cover, and when you drop the cover by mistake, you do big. Have you ever had that sign before? So I used to think that, anytime thunder just strike like, there's somebody in heaven just bow. I was like, so have you ever had like such experience when it comes to your browser? Like, how does the browser send all those things? Right? I always wondered. So So first we are going to talk about the URL. So you want to get crypto's range, I mean, what they call it, crypto's rates, or maybe you want to get Nigeria's naira to dollar rate and all that. How do you do it? You understand? You are making a request. Abi? You make a request. So in terms of web applications, you are making a request and you are getting a response. You make a request to get a particular resource, and the resource responds with a response, right? So now, how do you do that? All those things are done by use of what we call a URL. So anybody have any idea what the URL is? Anybody has any idea? Okay, good. That's how you know people that did Cisco. How many of us did Cisco here? Secondary school. You didn't do Cisco. You are doing Cisco now. Okay, wow. None of you guys did Cisco. In secondary school. I thought we all did Cisco. You did Cisco. Yeah, now what happened? No Cisco in Ogumosho. Wow. Wow. So when I was in secondary school, we did Cisco. So URL means Uniform Resource Locator. And that Uniform Resource Locator is what enables us to be able to get resources on the internet. Now, I was saying yesterday about how not to be scammed on the website, or with a link. If someone wants to scam you now, they have to send you a link now, Abi. So one of the ways for you to not be able to be scammed on the internet is by checking the URL. Someone sends you a link. Basically, the link is the URL now, Abi. So you want to understand what is this. Now that scheme is the protocol that it is communicating with. So either it is HTTP or it is HTTPS now, Abi. Let me ask. HTTPS. Sir? Secured HTTP. It's not HTTP, it's HTTPS. Anyway, it's true that. So it means Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure, right? And it is not a protocol. It is not a protocol. HTTPS is not a protocol. The original protocol is HTTP. So when you now add security over it, it means you are just adding a layer of encryption over it so that people cannot sniff on people's data. You understand? So there are all forms of encryption that goes in place with HTTPS. When you are using HTTPS, then you now make use of what we call TLS and... You don't remember? Oh my God. So TLS means Transport Layer Security, right? And SS of security are used to ensure that our packets are not sniffed. Now, how does it work? Now, imagine, remember our scenario yesterday now, you did a job for somebody, you send the person asks you for your account number, maybe over WhatsApp, and let's assume WhatsApp was using HTTP, right? No. So now, you send your account number, somebody was somewhere on your network, and the person was sniffing your packet. The person just captures that packet where you send your account number. He changes it to his own account number because it's not encrypted now, so it is flying over the internet in plain text. Everybody can see it. If you go in there, you yourself will be able to see it. It's not something that's very hard. You intercept it, and then when you connect to somebody else's Wi-Fi, the person becomes what we call the exit node, the exit networking device. So when the person is the exit networking device, every connection you are doing, everything is going through that device by default. So anytime, that's why I said yesterday that if some person through whoever is hosting that Wi-Fi, that public or that Wi-Fi network, do you understand? So let's assume, all those things. Maybe you don't have data, so you just decide to go and meet one brother that, sir, please help me on your hotspot. And the person on hotspot for you, and you're not sending the account number over the network. So this person who is at the end of the network, the exit node, can basically see all those information, and he can just decide to change the account number to his own and send it. You understand? And you will not receive the account number. You will not do anything. So he will just carelessly send the money to another account, and you just saw somebody somewhere at Sabo, and you don't know the person's face. How are you going to start looking for the person? Right? So that was the purpose of HTTP at the time. A lot of people fell to that particular trick of having unencrypted data. In fact, at the time when HTTP was still reigning before HTTPS, so many people fell into such things. So if you come to SQI here, I will be taking a particular course that has to do with identifying all those problems, like trying to find out how to sniff. Using HTTPS does not mean you are secure. If the person was able to get the decryption key of the HTTPS, you can still basically still read your chats or whatever it is that you are sending. You understand? So that is just, having the HTTPS doesn't mean you are secure. It doesn't at all. In fact, it is worse. It's just like, there are some frequently asked questions. If you check it, they will tell you that this site is secure. We use HTTPS. HTTPS does not mean you are secure. It only means that the connection cannot be, nobody can understand what is going on. And that is if the person does not get the decryption key. The person is able to decrypt it. Oh, you are totally not on the safe side, right? So, the uniform resource locator. And sir, can you go to uniform resource locator, sir? Uniform. Skip that. Yes. All right. So I've skipped all that. So now, anytime you are making a request to a web browser, this is the first thing you have. You are either making HTTP as what we call HTTP verbs, right? So HTTP verbs or methods are protocols or just a few control codes that you use to make requests on a browser. So either you are trying to get something, that is you are trying to fetch, right? Or you are trying to post something, that is you are trying to log in, right? You want to log in, you want to change your password, you want to maybe do a cut, you understand? Or you want to send money to somebody, that is you are trying to post, right? That is the verb. The verb for trying to fetch something is get. The verb for trying to post something or you want to change your password, anything is called post. You understand? And you can either want to delete something. Maybe you don't want something in your cart again, you remove, you delete. Or you have a resource that you had before, you can delete it. You understand? So the verb for it is delete. You understand? There is put. That is, you want to maybe put a file, you want to download a file into a web server. So if you ever go into web development, please don't ever allow your application to make use of puts. Because if you allow your application to make use of puts, then somebody can potentially come there and put a file inside that is not supposed to be there, and they will have access to your server. You understand? That is one of the things you learn as a web application security officer. So we have puts, we have trace, we have options. In fact, there are just so many of them in web application. There are different methods. So now in this case, I'm making use of get. You understand? That is the method I'm using because I want to fetch a particular resource. And I'm saying that I want to get the root directory. Now, when you are building a website, right, for the first time, especially here in SQL, if you are building your first website, they will tell you that the first thing that you are supposed to build is an index page. So you are going to be making use of something they call index.html because your first coding language you are going to be HTML. Yeah, let's go. HTML. Say it now. I say it. Hypertext markup language, right? So now, that hypertext markup language, the first thing you are going to be making use of is the index page. And the index page is going to be the first thing that will be displayed on the website. So as soon as you get to a particular website, most of them want to create an index, right? Or you are creating your index.php, or it could be index.jsp. So far, it is whatever programming language you are using for the front end, right? It is going to have the index page. So that when I just get to the root directory like this, it means the beginning of what, as you can see here, it is the beginning, right? So as soon as you put in a / whatever is index, anything index in the root directory of your web or wherever you are serving your file from, you understand? So it is just going to go there and get the index. So if it is JSP or whatever other programming language you are using, it is going to show you all those pages. So there's supposed to be something else here, but the tool that now, you are trying to send a request to a server now. You understand? This is just a form of communication that the server understands. I don't know. Tell me one thing that, someone you have never met before. Tell me one thing that if the person comes to you and, how are you? How was your day? Just tell me one thing that, someone will say. If someone tells you how far, you will not be friends with that person. Oh, Jesus, that is a proud lady there. Okay, so let's assume, how far is... How are you? How are you? I'm a thief. Okay, that one is a better one. It's more logical. Now, in this case, the web server, you are just trying to send a request. And instead of putting all this nonsense, I just put I'm a thief in this case and send it to the web server. The web server is going to tell, is going to respond with a 400 status code, meaning bad. I will just, take a step back, look at his body. Is there a gun somewhere? I'll look around. Does he have his friends around? You understand? Or is even wants to be taking it to some bushy places now, Abby? So now, you have to say the right words to be friends with people. In this case, right? So in this case, what the server actually expects is a method first. The resource you're trying, COD, whatever you used to do on the internet. I don't know what you do on the internet, please. So, and then the version of the HTTP you are trying to use. So there are various versions of HTTP. There's HTTP 1, HTTP 1.1. HTTP 1 was likely had the security problem, right? So it moves to HTTP 2 to upgrade to patch it. Then from HTTP 2 move to HTTP 3. It just has different features like that. So, and the next thing you want to make use of is the host. So this host here identifies the host name you are trying to, the server you are trying to. So I'm sending it to my own local host in this case. But in your, what is the website for that Google, that COD for it? You people play it and you don't even know. What's COD now? I'm telling this man is a criminal. Everybody fear him from today onwards. You understand? Sir, Unity.com. Sir? You don't know? You are not sure? Me, I don't know. That's what I'm asking going on. Right? That's how GTA was hacked at the time. You all play GTA now. Anytime I see cheat, it means it was hacked. Any game you see that you're playing that there's cheats for it, somebody hacked it to get it. Right? If you do not know. All right. So, this place, sir? What of? And that is the website. He browsed it. So, let's just assume in this case, right? So that link will be here. You understand? And sometimes there are other information that you might apply, but in this case, you don't really need. You can just send this one, and the web server will tell you, oh, you are trying to get a particular. Is making use of HTTP 1, and it says 200, and 200 is a status code on HTML, and it means okay, 200 okay, meaning you are good. This thing exists. So, sir, 404 is not found. Not found. Everybody must have seen 404 at some point in time. Abi, have you seen 403 before? You have not seen 4. If you have seen 403, let me see your hand. Criminal too. You are doing some unauthorized things. Abi, all right. So as you can see, the server that is hosting this thing powered by it is Express. So I was using a Node.js Express web server to host that, responding with. You understand? And the length is 45. So if you count all these things, they will likely be 45 in character, probably. So, and this one gives us the time, the tag. This tag, I really don't know what that tag does, but I think it's something from Express, yeah? And you can see the connection. The connection means it's WebSockets. So as you can see, this is the response to the index page. Hello to this page. So I just put it there. So anytime anybody tries to get a request from this particular host and the ports with this particular resource, you will receive welcome to this page. So let us try it. Oh yeah, now I say we should try it now. Probably you will see welcome to this page. So you're just going to get a request to look out. Oh yeah, now let's go. Anybody? Did you get welcome to this page? Today is Anybody? Yeah, all you're just going to put in your browser is local. What did you get? Nothing. You're supposed to get welcome to this. You worked on my. You guys have been active. Now, in networking, there is what we call a local host. It's just like your brain, so to say. Now, your brain is transplanted into my home. We're having the same genotype. So every networking device is 127.0.0.0/, I think 24 something. 0.0.2, anyone, sha. So far is 127.0.0 network, you should not have access to this. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. What is coming from port 9000? And if you don't have anything hosted on port 9000, it's going to return with a reset. Meaning, I don't know what you're talking about. This port is never even open in the first place. So if you actually got something on port 9000 right now, it means there's a problem. And you shouldn't be welcome to this page. It should be something else. And if that is true, that means somebody has access to your phone, because I'm sure you did not open that port 9000. And it definitely was not me. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch your phone. You understand? So that is the purpose of localhost. So I hope you understand this part. Do we understand? It's just the most basic of the web. The most basic of the web. So do you understand? Can I move on? So at least now we know what, anytime you're trying to make a request to your game, at least you know what it looks like. This is what it looks like, right? So now, moving on. So this is my last bit. So now I want to talk about types of web application vulnerabilities. So there are various types of web application vulnerabilities. And without vulnerabilities, people cannot enter your phone, your laptop, your network. If there is no vulnerability, if there is no error, they can't enter into any device you have. That is why for the past 1 year that you should update, and you did not update it, you're in Wala. The day you enter someone's network that knows like this. Jesus. Okay. So now, the first vulnerability I'll be talking about is SQL injection. So, I don't know. I'm going to say this one for the Yahoo boys in this place. So now, Yahoo boys, they always make use of what we call credentials. So some of them buy it on the internet. They just buy like a lot of files. What is so important to you? So let me ask you people too. Right now, as you are seated, what is the most important thing to you in your life? Tell me. Your what? Your life. Oh, Jesus. Okay, what else? Your life. What else? Your license. Your devices. That can't be true. Your devices are very important to you. Hey, okay. What else? You guys said your life, your devices. What else? Your PDF. What? Your BVN? How? How is your BVN important to you? What are you talking about? Do you know that there was a website that was selling people's NIN for 200 naira and they called them like last month? BVN is very important. I feel now people have, people have access to all these things now. Your devices, your laptop is there. I don't want to brag, but I can say that if you give me your laptop, important. I don't think so. Your life, your life is actually quite important, right? In structured query language. So structured query language is just a normal programming language that people use to access database. Now, a database, if you remember, I spoke about the 3-tiered architecture of a web application. That is, there's the front end, there's the server side, and there's the database. So the database is a place where your information, your credit card information, your personally identifiable information, your location, your IP address, all those things, they have it stored in the database. So if somebody was able, can you go to open a web page? Let's try. I want to try something. I want to see how many of us, let me just say while he's doing that. So go to Have I Been Pwned? HAVE, hi, no space, hi, been, BEEN, HAVE, hi. You a very fine interface where to allow you to, put your email address. So you can put any of your email addresses. Let's see. Pwned. Been. Oh, this man. Check other email addresses now. Oh, yeah, now let's go. Email. No, this one is real. It's real. It's real. It's a real website. It's a real website. So, have I been pwned.com? I think. It's a real website. Oh, you have a problem? Oh, Jesus. How many places were you pwned? Yeah. So if you have a red sign, it means that your data is likely on the internet. It's not likely actually, it's on the internet. And it means that, people can look for you. They have information about you, your name, your account number. So this is what it looks like. Have I been pwned? So you can just input your email. So if you want to see if your information is on the internet, just come here, put your email address or whatever, and you can see this. So this is a way of you checking what information if your information is on the internet, right? Information is to get your full much information about you. It'll be on the internet. And if your password is on the internet, it's the same everywhere. That is why they say you should not use passwords everywhere. So how many of us have reds now? How many? You have a red. Oh, thank God. Who else? Him? Any other person? The ladies, no red. Oh, one red at the back. No red, no red. No red. If you don't have red, that means you don't need to use web well. No red, ma'am. Wow, that is serious. So anyways, if you have read, all these things doesn't mean that you were hacked. It just means that wherever and whatever, maybe let's assume you register to a particular website, right? And anytime you're registering to websites, they are collecting so much information about you. And some hackers hack those websites and they leak the information to the internet. So when they leak the information, they just leak their whole database. You understand? And that way, they get access to... So everybody in the internet knows basically where you are. So if you have a red and you are telling people that they can't track you, you are playing. You are really playing. So SQL injection is one of the ways people can use to get all those information about you, right? They can just basically, especially if the website is making use of SQL as MySQL as database, they can just query instead of sending inputs to the website. Like let's say the input is supposed to collect a username and password. They can basically just send in SQL queries. And the server will just think, oh, this person, that is the only way people get information on people. You understand? All those things that, your boys are sharing up and down, that they are buying on the internet. Basically, if you know how, you can get access to those kind of information. You understand? But we are not preaching for you to be doing those things. So please, don't go and be looking for people's information up and down. So now, the next vulnerability I'll be talking about is cross-site scripting, also known as XXS, cross-site scripting. So cross-site scripting is also an injection attack. It is, now let me talk about the client side. So the front end. So the front end of a web application makes use of HTML, which is the structure of the website, makes use of CSS, cascading style sheets, which is the color guide, the person that, makes us, it's just like a human body now. The bone, if you remember in biology, the bone is the structure of the human being, Abi. Whereas the skin, this color, this melanin is the CSS, right? Whereas the JavaScript is the logic. So JavaScript in this case is acting as the brain. You understand? So the brain is the one that is doing all these hand movements you are seeing and this lip syncing and all that stuff you are seeing. That is JavaScript, basically. So now, JavaScript. So since JavaScript allows for logic, it means that somebody else can also inject, instead of in this case injecting SQL queries or MySQL queries into a particular website, they can inject JavaScript code so that they'll be able to do things in the front end, be able to show you. Instead of showing you login page or something, they can be showing you something quite different. So it's just like, how does that thing happen? Basically, let's assume you have a normal login page, right? Somebody now tries to log in. So I knew this username and password does not exist. It tells you this user, Uche, does not exist. That means it is taking the name that is coming from that input now, Abi, and is displaying it back to you. So when I noticed that, oh, this thing is displaying back my name, what if I try to put, HTML tag, HTML, and send it to the back? And at the end of the day, maybe it now tells you this user, capital letter, big Uche, does not exist. That means you have been able to successfully inject HTML inside that code. And somehow you are defacing the website already. Abi? So now, instead of injecting HTML, since HTML works, then we can make use of scripts. And what does... I thought we all do. It doesn't go that far now. Jesus Christ. Now, JavaScript. That is where you put JavaScript. So either you are making it inline, right? Or you are doing it, what's the other one? There's inline, external, thank you. So you are making it external, right? So in this case, we can make it inline. We just put our script and put an alert one inside. So instead of a user any of these things, this person can just decide that he wants to use document.cookie. And then he just sends you the web page that, my guy, please want me to like my page. And then as soon as you like the page like this, the thing is now sending your cookie to the person. At the end of the day, the person gets access to your cookie, and all he just needs to do is just go to the place where cookies are supposed to be, replace his own cookie for your own cookie, and bam, this one didn't even ask you for your username and password. So cookies are one of the ways people can get access to your account, because a cookie is a way for website to remember who is who. HTTP is remember who you are. It is not keeping any information. So they decide to make use of cookies. So those cookies contain your username, some session information, and some other ID. Because HTTP is stateless. So if I just send a cookie that belongs to somebody else somewhere, or I forge a cookie that belongs to somebody else somewhere, so far it has been authenticated somewhere in the backend, and the backend doesn't know, oh, this cookie oh, this cookie belongs to this person. If it, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. So, what was I even saying? Forgotten. So HTTP, right? So HTTP stated. So if somebody has access to your cookies, the person basically has access to your account, basically. So you can use JavaScript to do that, and you can use the vulnerability cross-site scripting to get access to your cookies. And there's many more you can do with JavaScript, so much more. That cross-site request forgery can allow you to make requests unintended without you knowing. In fact, you will never know. All the person just needs to do is maybe have access to that website before, maybe have an account on the website, and the person will just create the link like that and make requests, just like he's making his own request to the website. And then he's going to put it in a link. He's sending you the link. As soon as you click the link, so far the link is coming out of your browser, you just change the password to his password, and like that, you already have access. I've actually done something like that before in real life, but it was something they told me to do it. You understand? So this scholar link, so I quickly, just did the whole same thing and sent it to him. You understand? So inside the website, the script, or the thing I wanted to use was embedded. And a script, you will never see a script except if you view the page source now, Abby. So it is just there. I just showed him a fine interface. Please help me to check this website out. Does it make sense? Does it make sense on your end? You can give that kind of light too. That, I don't have it sense, but no, I've already changed the password, and it was successful. And, he had the tab. I was actually seeing the tab on his laptop, and I know that, okay, he was on it. So as soon as he clicked, I said, is your WhatsApp connected to your laptop? He was like, yes. So he opened his WhatsApp, and I sent him the link, and he just, as soon as he clicked the link like this, his password on that tab changed immediately. And, I told him that this is the problem you have with this one, and I will not give, maybe I'll tell him that I should pay, maybe like, how much do you think I should tell him to pay in this case? Ma? $5,000? Hey! God, I beg. So anyways, that is cross-site request forgery. So you are forging people's signature or cookies to use to make requests. And the person does not even know that all those things are happening. You understand? That is just how bad that vulnerability can be. So there's buffer overflow exploit. Buffer overflow exploit basically means data that is using for the life cycle of for its life cycle, sorry. Nothing comes behind life cycle. So that particular storage, you understand, if you put in too much data, you understand, it's just like a cup now. So if you have a cup and you keep pouring water and the cup is full and you keep pouring more than it's supposed to take, and then you keep putting more data, eventually data will start to overflow outside, and then you can now use that data to conduct very bad things in the memory of the website. So now, one of those examples, I want to be very careful about this, and I pray you people don't understand what I'm about to say. So now, one more integers, that the integer stack of the art website will start to overflow. And what you can actually do with that thing is what we call price manipulation. So now let's assume on a website like Jumia, e-commerce website, and you want to buy something, right? You click on cart now, and as soon as you click on cart, there's going to be a place somewhere. You understand? So the more you had, you will notice that there's a plus going on there. You understand? So with integer overflow, you can find a way to continue going negative, and with integers, there's something they call signed integers and unsigned integers. You understand? One of them goes from positive to negative, right? So once it goes from 1 is to minus 2, 3, something million, 2 million, right? It will just go back to the positive, bam. So now you're trying to exploit that particular problem, because most people that use integers, are going to find a way to make sure that you are no longer sending integers, you are now sending negative integers. So you will just continue adding the cart. So at that point, you are going to be changing the value of whatever you are buying. Jumia actually noticed that. I actually tried on Jumia, sorry if you are hearing. I tried on Jumia, and Jumia actually changed. I think somebody exploited such a thing, but they changed it to using integers. Instead of using integers, they were using strings to make use of those changes, right? So instead of sending 1,000, until you get to minus 2 million, and once it goes to minus 2 million, it will just go back, and that is what we call integer overflow. So you overflow it, you just continue going. But Jumia changed that function, so you won't try it on Jumia. I'll be about it until somebody exploits it, basically. You understand? So That is buffer overflow. A type of buffer overflow, integer overflow. And the problem you can have with integer overflows is what we call price manipulation. The ability for you to be able to change the prices of things. So I assume that I want to tell us that if you ever go to try something like that, please ensure that at least you pay like maybe 10,000 naira for such a thing. Because if vulnerability allows us to be able to include files on a website. So you are trying to, let's say, you are trying to get a file from a particular website, and the website is making use of that file, right? So you can use file inclusion vulnerability to likely hide your own file or get a particular, instead of getting that particular file, you can just do what we call path supposed to be able to get on that server. And it is very terrible. If you're able to get files you're not supposed to get on the server, that means potentially with that particular function, since it is reading from a file into the server, right? Maybe you want to write a question, an exam, and they are bringing the question from a particular to look for maybe the answers file. Don't you think you can get the answers file? Very, very funny. We're going to skip all these ones. Remote code. Yeah. No. I used to say, then the best thing you can have on remotely over a network that allows, this system comes with a kernel, which is the middleman between the software application system, but the kernel is the kernel, which we call the graphical user interface. The graphical interface, the MS-DOS came as a terminal in a smart set of people. You understand? So then they decided, I think Windows, not even XP safe. XP was still user-friendly. There was, I think, Windows 96 MS-DOS. They were not really user-friendly. They were very terrible. In fact, for you to be able to make use of some applications, you had to download drivers for it. But nowadays, how many of you have ever downloaded? Oh, okay. Which computer was that? Dell? HP? Serious? Any other person? You have downloaded for what? Oh, yeah, I know you download drivers for graphics. Sometimes games too. But you see, most of us, we are very rare. But back in the day, everybody was downloading drivers for one thing or the other, right? So the graphical user interface. So the graphical user interface is standing at the top, right? So that graphical user interface is what is your so any button you are clicking on your computer, your laptop, anything, any button you are clicking, there's going to be a shell that is spawned at the back. You are not seeing it. And it's going to be writing commands, and it's going to be sending it to the kernel. So at the end of the day, you are still making use of, the shell. And for you to be able to access the shell, you make use of what we call a terminal. That's why if you are watching all those, hacker movies, you see them in a black screen, and they're always typing ba 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 ba. That's what we call the terminal. And the terminal is what we use to access the shell, and the shell sends the information all the way to the kernel. Do you understand? So hackers do not want to be making use, or as a hacker, you do not want to be making use of the graphical user interface, the GUI, because you are very limited to so many things. There are so many things that does not have graphical user interface. What will I call it? I don't even know what to call it. But many things don't have graphical. It's just like some tools. Most of the tools you have don't have graphical user interface. You understand? So as a hacker, you want to make use of the terminal, because the terminal, you're able to send commands directly to the shell, which is talking with the kernel directly. So if somebody is able to have access to that particular, is able to have access to that thing, your system is, you don't forget graphic. I don't know, there was this movie I watched, and they were trying to portray somebody hacking into a system. If someone has access to a terminal on your system, you will not know. The only way you will know is if you are able to maybe spawn tax manager, and then you realize that there's another command. So is maybe your system is overheating, Abi, or you are seeing terminals popping out and closing, popping out and closing. What else? Sir? Hack? If it is hanging or it's lagging, you will likely have a feeling that, oh, this system might be hacked. But if you are a cybersecurity professional, then you have to start checking some things. You want to check your tax manager. You know you did not connect to that IP address. So why is it connected? You know that there is a problem. Because if someone has access to your system, they likely, especially as soon as you own your data, that's why they said if there's a virus on your system, you should first turn off the connection, the network. Cut off the network. Because once you cut off the network, the virus cannot communicate with the server on the internet. It might be potentially, having a virus for weather viruses. It's just a software. And it is just a software to automate what a hacker will do. The reason why people create the virus is to ensure that I can do this person's PC, be searching. Whereas I can just create the code that help me to do all the searching for myself, and I will just, randomly spread everything, and then everybody's hacked, and be able to get all the information I need to get. You understand? So a virus is just automating what a normal human being would automate on your system. We can manage time. So I will say that is the end of my. Mr. Amos, give us a very, very sound. Okay.
Everyone, it's good to have us around. So I will be taking the system security section. So Mr. Uche has been emphasizing more the system is, then we'll see how we can secure them. So we mentioned system is not only your, let's do a kind of section together. So if I may ask, what do we understand about a system? What is a system? Anyone? Anyone? Who wants to try? All right. Do you want to try? Okay. Mr. Boy system. They are still part of a system. So let's have that. So don't go far. You have system with you. You are using some of its purpose. Are we together? Are we together? A system for a purpose. We've talked about networking yesterday. Mr. Uche has we know what all those DNS are and the domain and the likes. But we should know all those things are being put together where. And there should be a way in which we need to protect them. Ability with my system, then there's a game, is a game over. There's no way you can. They are a combination of different things together. That's what makes up a system. Let's say I put together a system is, then the security measure that we can put, we have to know that a system together to serve a time. If they work on the structure that we keep, yours is a system as well. Mention drivers, the reach of communication, a complete infrastructure. Irrespective of the device speaking something, set of what? Long as the other does it. All right. So now let's move to security. Also set up anything. Assets are in the next slide. I said security is the degree to which our assets are resistant to threats, at which that information you have on your device can resist what we did. So that security is there are a lot of threats. It's not only cyber criminals that are the threat that we have around. When it comes to criminal, didn't attack your device. There are bank details. If anything should happen to that, then it's a game over. But don't forget that bank details is being used on a what? On the system. That bank details, that bank information is being installed and run on numbers of devices put together. Number one, from your own end, down link, there's a communication link from your own end to the bank, then to the source. So all these link of communication needs to be protected. So that's what the security is all about. She mentioned bank details. Sir, what are the other assets that you have? Or you didn't have any assets? There's no one here that doesn't have assets. No matter how small that asset might be. Yes, your asset. Sir? I can hear you, sir. Contact. He mentioned that his contact. Truly, that's an asset. If I should get hold of your contact as a cyber security or as a cyber criminal, if I should get hold of it, I can use it for anything. All right? What of our social media accounts? Our app. They are our assets. You don't know what you have with those platforms like that. So we have quite some numbers of assets that we need to protect. In security, you must understand that you have assets, especially system. You failing to understand that there's a place of assets, there's no way, and you might find it difficult to secure whatever device you want to secure. Please, the next slide, please. The next slide. The next slide. Yes. Okay. So, and I said, what should be our major aim when it comes to security, irrespective of the level? Be network, be application, be to your system. What should be your major concern? What should be what you're after, your aim? You don't implement security. For example, we have this structure. We don't put mobile policemen here that we want them to just be here, right? We don't do that. So if you are implementing, if you are putting security in place, there must be a reason, irrespective. You don't just put password to your PC. You don't just encrypt your file. You don't do all those things. So the major aim for security is to protect whatever that is valuable to you, whatever that is important to you. Anything outside that is not security. Are we together? Are we together, please? So let's move on. So now we understand that what a security system is. We know what security is all about. It's just the degree, the rate in which our device, our asset can resist any adversary being thrown to it, any enemy. We have a lot. We look some of them. We've been looking some of them. We've been considering some of them since yesterday. To have a kind of little break, to do a recap, let me flash us a bit. We did network threats yesterday, right? Then today, we touched that as well. Can we mention 3 of those network threats that has been discussed in this section? Yes? Anyone? How many of us are in class yesterday? If you're in class, let me see your hands up. Okay. Yes. Can you mention one of that threat to us? One of the network threats. Yes. Okay. One of the threats. SQL injection. All right. Okay. Do we still have any other one? Yes. Sir? Internet exploits. Yes. Another one. Hey, that shows that we have not been picking some of these things. We need them. For me to secure my house, I will know my enemy. Yes or no? Yes. You know your enemy. If you don't know your enemy, there's no way you can protect your house. In fact, the security measure you might even put in place might not be the one that will work for that enemy. So that's why you need to know your enemy first. That's why you need to know all those threats. That's why you need to know all those things that can stand as a threat to you. All right, let's move on. So we've done that part. The next slide, please. The next slide. Thank you. The next slide, so that we'll see. All right, for me to be able to implement the right security, there are some questions that I need to answer. There are some things that I need to understand. Number one here, please, can we read it together, everyone? What is most confidential to me? What is most important to me? What are those resources that I didn't want another person to have access to it? You understanding this will help you, then you will know the kind of security you have to implement. Please don't forget, security at the rate, at the degree in which you can protect the content you have on your system. Please don't forget that. So you must understand that what are those contents that are confidential, that another person didn't need to have access to them. Can we give good example of confidential content like that? She mentioned bank what the other time? Bank details. Our rector used an illustration yesterday that there's a madam that whenever she sleeps, her husband will do what? Will go to her phone, then put her fingerprint to the phone and withdraw her money and deleted any message. Informations like that are confidential. They are the kind of information that we need to secure at all costs. There's what we call zero trust when it comes to security. I do mention that in class. We call it zero trust. In this cyber world, you don't trust anyone. Even your madam, your wife, you don't trust them because anyone can do and undo. So we need to understand all these things. So the second question is what? What are the things I can't afford to lose? There's some things that if you should lose them, in fact, for the whole lifetime, you might not recover from it. Valuable things, some important things, computing, those contents. So when it comes to security, that you know that if I should lose this thing, I cannot get them again. There are some data that are irreplaceable. I can lose my PC and get another one. that is possible. But there's some content that you cannot replace them no matter how. First question, please can we take that together? The number one question. What is confidential to me? That this man is my friend. I didn't want this man to have access to it. It's very, very important. And in security, we have to get to that level. We have to understand that. It's not everything, especially for those of us are in this line, and those of us aspiring to be a cybersecurity expert. It's not all information that you give out to people. That's what might celebrities is being sent. What will that do to their reputation? To damage it, to destroy it. So we have to understand and have the picture of all these things. If we can answer all these questions correctly, then we will be able to secure, then we know the kind of security we need to implement. Please don't forget, we have different of system all around. Server, for example, is a system. Cloud is a system, but we start with the same. All right. So I said, knowing your enemy. The question is that, who is your enemy? That's the question I have to ask myself. Enemy. They are your enemy. Threats, they are your enemy. Attacks from the external force, they are your enemy. So you must know this. There are quite numbers of enemies out there that is targeting your assets. That we have unauthorized users out there. We have those that are not supposed to have access to an information. Start moving to all offices, departments, and everywhere. If the security here is that tight, you shouldn't be having access to that. Are we together, please? So that's confidentiality. Ensuring that the asset you have on your system, ensuring that the asset you have on your device is not what unauthorized users should have access to. Their integrity. This is all about maintaining and ensuring that the content, the information that you have on your device is still valid, is still okay. It has not been altered. That's integrity. In a case where someone has hijacked the link of your communication, one of my guys mentioned the other time about man at the middle. Do you still remember that? Man at the middle. So what is the man at the middle? What can we say about it? Man at the middle. Yes. Someone that is speaking your what? Your message. For example, this is Mr. A. I want to message Mr. A that from Mr. B that this is the information I want to pass across to him. If you now stand in between the gap of the link of our communication, just understand something. One of the most important things we protect in cybersecurity is the link of communication. Are we together? The link, the flow, the rate in which they communicate with each other. From the end of the sender to the end of the receiver, you must do everything possible to protect that link. Failure to protect that link, anything can happen. And that's why you see most times that cyber criminals will try to hijack. So integrity is about maintaining and assuring the accuracy and completeness of the assets in the entire life cycle of those information. For example, there's a link between myself and Mr. A. That shows that if I want to communicate with Mr. A, I'll make use of that link. If anyone should stand or if anything should happen to that link, that means the integrity of whatever we might do through that link is not safe. Are we together? Are we together, please? All right. So that's integrity. So then lastly, availability. Late last year, some people, their WhatsApp account was hacked. Has that ever happened to us before? Where did we hack our WhatsApp account? If that has happened to us before, let me see our hands up. Yes, anyone? Do you know what happened? What happened is that the criminal hijacked the account of that person and deny him the availability to the resource. That's what they do. That the resource, the data that's supposed to go to that end is now going to the cyber criminal. It has denied them availability to that resources. So in security, these three attributes are very, very important. System, networking, application. Number one is what? Confidentiality. That is, whatever I'm sending, whatever resources I have on my device that requires confidential, then I have to give it to it. There's a standard, there's a protection standard. We have protection level 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4. These are to do with the kind of protection we give to some of these our systems. Are we together? Yes. So that's the 3 standard, and that's the 3 attributes that every security measure that we are implementing must possess. They must have it. If the security measure that you are putting in place could not give you confidentiality, then it's a gun. So if integrity of your message, of your content is not there, then there's a problem. Then if whenever you need those resources, if you can't get it, whenever you need that system, it can offer those services, then there's another wala. So these are very, very important. They are what we need to consider before we secure. So that means we have to think our asset before security. You have to think of what you have. You thinking of what you have will help you to understand the kind of security measure or control you put in place. So we should have that in mind. So that's what we call the CIA triad. So we should have that in mind. All right, can we move on? Can we move on? Yes, the next slide, please. So let's look at some system security control measures that we have around. This is just like introducing us, giving us the picture of how system security works. But we have to understand what we are securing. What you are securing here are systems. Your operating system is a system. The operating system you are using. The application you are using, they are system. In fact, the physical infrastructure being put together, they are system. You inputting www.whatever.com on your website, you are trying to connect, is a system, is a process. From your end, there are link of communication to another server somewhere. Servers are just supercomputers that are put together to offer services, to provide services to anyone that connects to it. Most of us, we are connected to quite some numbers of servers. There are some that are not here, but they have access to what we are doing this afternoon because of technology like this. So systems like that needs protection. Systems like that, we need to make sure that we secure them no matter how. So there are numbers of systems that gives us what we enjoy today. All right? So let's quickly move to the security measure or the security control, the system security measure. Just like I mentioned, you see, the system security control measures, we can categorize them, then we can group them into 3. Please, let's take this together. Number 1, we have what? Then number 2, we have what? Then number 3, we have what? You will be able to apply any of these when you understand the system you are working with. It's very, very important. That's number 1. Number 2, you will be able to use this when you have the picture of the asset on those devices. Having the understanding of the asset on your device matters as well. What are the information that I have here? How valuable are they to me? I can't just avoid to lose this. So, but let's understand some things about these 3. Irrespective of those security measures, you can categorize them into 3. The first one are the basic system security measure. These kind of measures are the security, they are the control that we input to every devices that is being used to form our system. They are the kind of security we implement on every single component, on every single devices that we integrate together to give us whatever system we are using about. Then at the availability level, how available, how do I want people to have access to those resources? This is grouped into 4. We have PL1, PL2, PL3, PL4. Then this also AL1, AL2, AL3, and AL4. This divine. It tells the kind of security we implement to different infrastructure. For example, the security that we implement on my web server will be more stronger than the one that I will implement on a computer. Yes or no? Yes. Because server, a lot of people have access to it. A lot of people connect to it. A lot of people do different sorts of things with it. You can imagine the numbers of people. You can imagine the numbers of people that do connect to Google website every day all over the world. You can imagine. But in the case of your own computer, you are the only one using it. In the case of your own personal or smartphone, you are the only one having access to it. So these are to do, and we have to consider this when it comes to security. The level, what are the level of the security that I want to implement? And what are the availability level that I want to give to each of this infrastructure? Is very, very important. But the basic system security measure, just know that they are the measure that we apply to all devices that is in our system. To all devices that we use in setting up, we have laptop, we have PC, we have our smartphone, all devices that have system security measure. It's what some of us we do. And it's what some of us we don't take serious. Though it might look simple, but as simple it is, as basic we might call it, they are very, very, so we should have that. All right? Let's move on to the next slide. I mentioned and we talked about some security measure at this level. Number one, your password protection. Let's say password protection. It's basic. Anyone can do that. It's basic. It's simple. It doesn't cost us much to implement that. It doesn't cost us much to put that in place. I can get a smart device, I can get my PC, and just choose that, okay, I want to put password to it. It's very, very easy. That's why we call them basic. But as basic they might look like, they are very, very important. But there's some things that we need to understand when we are using this kind of protection. Number one, there's what we call complexity. Please, can we repeat that after me? Complexity. Most of us, we hardly do that. But irrespective of the system setup, irrespective of the look or the setup of that system, there should be the place of complexity. And with complexity is when you input, is when you make use of different character to add in, to strengthen your security. For example, what is your name, sir? Your name? Ayola. You want to secure a smartphone. You now put some site that you don't just give some valuable information to consider the complexity of it. So number one, the complexity matters a lot. All right, can we move on? Can we move on? Then I mentioned software updates. Please, can we repeat that after me? Software updates. Software updates. Software updates. Some of us, we hardly do that. In fact, let me ask the question. Sir, when last have you updated the operating system that runs on your PC? When last have you tried that? It's been long. Do you see that? Let me ask someone else. My sister, the browser that you are using on that your smartphone, they are basic. Last have we updated the operating system on our smartphone? We shall have smartphone. Most of us, we are using Android. When last have you tried that? Some of us are smiling because we don't do them. They even send notification to you that you should update this. You do what? You cancel it. So these are basic configuration. These are basic security measures that you can put in place. They might look simple, but they can secure your device. What happens to that update? The security feature, new security features. At intervals, that you see operating system like Windows, at time intervals, they do release their updates. Why? Have you ever imagined why? It's just, you can't have 100% security level. That's the truth. The fact that you implement security today, don't think it will be 100% tomorrow. There's someone out there that is trying to do everything possible to penetrate to you. There's someone out there that is trying everything possible to break through that your security. So software updates are designed operating system. Please do that on timely basis. What we call or measure. Firewall are like security wall. that we build to filter what comes in and goes out of our network. You can do that to your PC too. On your computer, you can filter what you want your PC to have access to. Some organizations, they do that to their network, especially to some of their staffs that like using YouTube. They like Netflix. They like Prime Video. Today, there's no work. We will do what? We will watch movie. That new movie, we watch it. You can use firewall to protect, to control what comes in and goes out of your network. It's very important. Some of those features are on some of the operating system that we are using. They are basic security measures that you can put in place to protect. All right, malware protection. Malware protection, they are basic. You install it now, yes or no? Yes, you have it on your smartphone. But the question is that when last have you used it? It's like someone having a gun that doesn't know how to use it. You have a gun, you have the protection measure, but you don't know how to apply it. See, some of these anti-malware protections are very, very good. They will not only protect desktop, even the server. Even the server, they protect even the cloud. They protect everything. So we should know how to apply and how to use all these things when there's need. And in fact, this basic should be what we have to do time to time. The basic system security is what you have to implement. You can't do away with it. So we should have that in mind. So anti-malware protection are very, very important. As you can see, I mentioned antivirus, and some of these anti-malware should be able to run automatically. Please, if you didn't implement that, do ensure that you put that in place. Even if you are not chanced, even if you don't know when to apply it, it will automatically pick by itself. Though most of those softwares that some of us use, they are cracked version. They are what? They are what? Cracked, unlicensed version. Let me use that. Those of us that we like, I don't know if it's Mr. Yemi, he mentioned that we like free things the other time. You see free Wi-Fi that is open, you do what? You connect. You see free network, it's free, I will not pay for it. You do what? You connect. I may set up and I have my information that I penetrate to you. See, I wolf they run beleo, so you should be mindful of that. All right, some of those software, we have to use licensed one. They are good. To keep enjoying such software is to use the update version. They release that update time to time. There's some software vendors that will like notify you whenever there's any new update, then they will like ask you to update to the latest version. Doing that, we go a long way. All right, please, the next slide. The next slide. I'm working with my time. Okay. All right, we've mentioned about the software updates, password protection. We've mentioned about firewall. We said we use firewall to do what? To control what comes in and goes out of a system. You can use it to control what comes in and goes out. If you don't want people to have access to a resource from a particular site, you can block them. All we just need is the port number that will give them access to that site. Once we know those port number and the transport means, then we are good to go. So in security, you must know how to work with ports and protocols. Protocols are a set of rules. They are language that is being put together that two or more devices use to communicate with each other. That's protocol. Me communicating, reaching out to him, there are a set of things we have to put in place. So we being here together, there are a set of things that are being put together. So just know in communication link, in networking, protocols are what we call the set of rules, language that two or more devices use. So in firewall, if you are using firewall, you must understand how to make use of protocols and port numbers. So each of those sites, they have their port number. Port numbers are like access point. They are like door. When we want to get to SQI this morning, we pass through the entrance. Yes or no? Yes. That's the door. That's what gives you access to this place. So to access a website, to access a page, there's always a door for them. Those are what we call the port number. All right. I mentioned in this part lastly, we have the storage encryption. Storage encryption. In doing this, you have to be very, very careful. In doing this, you have to be very mindful of that. It has happened to some people where they encrypt their storage device, where they have their resources. Encrypting is one of the ways of securing, of protecting our content. Then it will now lock it with a key. It will change it to what anyone can have access to. For you to now access the content there, you will need the key to decrypt it. Are we together? So, storage encryption, you can encrypt it. In fact, Windows operating system has that feature where you encrypt the content. We call it the bit locker. With that bit locker, you can encrypt. You can secure your content. But mind you, when you are locking the door, then you must know how to do what? To keep the key. Because if you don't know how to keep the key, if you want to enter, what will happen to you? You stay outside. So encryption, you can store, you can keep, you can encrypt whatever content. All these are still the basic system security control or measure. Don't forget, security is the degree in which our asset can restrict, in which our asset can resist whatever threat or adversary being thrown to it. Whether we like it or not, they will throw that threat to us. It's we that will say, I don't do what? I don't want it. All right, please, the next slide. The next slide. All right, let's move on to intermediate system security measure or control. The intermediate system security measure, we've mentioned that regardless of the level of the device that we are using, the basic security measures are very, very important. Be your smartphone, be your laptop, whatever system that is being put together, please, this level of security are very, very important. Even your account details, your app, your bank app, they are very, very important that we implement this basic system security level to them. At least you put 1 or 2 on it. In fact, if you can use everything, you use it. I like this illustration. A door where you have you have up to 20 lock. With a door with a single lock, which one will be secure? Yes, which one will be more secure? The ones with 20 locks. In fact, that thief that wants to even break to your house, by the time we open that key up to the 5th or 10th one, he will get tired. He will get tired. So that's why we need to implement as much security measure that we can use. All right, the intermediate security or the intermediate system security measure, these are applicable to some device, not all. They are applicable to some device. They are applicable to some device. So we should know that, like I mentioned, they are intermediate system security measure are additional security that controls or apply to our systems. For example, I set up a server. I am working on a cloud. Let's say I'm a cloud practitioner. In cybersecurity, you must know all these things too. Those are the part that you are securing. In fact, the world is even testified to that most of their work, they keep it at the cloud. I don't have the time setting up infrastructure, especially at this part of the world, where power supply is not stable, where some service provider can tell you that, sorry, Shark has damaged our what? Our Viber cable. So in a case like that, you have to implement a system. Another thing we need to understand is about system is that you have to implement a working system. System that is reliable. System that you can use. You have to put that in place as well. All right, let's come back to intermediate system security measure. They are just a kind of additional security that we add to the basic. That basic, you can't do away with them. That basic, they are very, very important. And most times, those basic are the ones that we implement ourselves. They are the ones that we do from our end. Your phone, your network provider will not come and tell you that, oh yeah, you must secure the network that you are using. You'll be the one that will do that. The operating system vendors that you are using will not come and tell you that, oh yeah, impute or put or update the software that you are using. You'll be the one that will choose that you need to do all those things, and which they are very, very important. So please, the next slide. Thank you, sir. The next slide. So I have here some of those security measure, some of those security controls that we impute at this level. Please, can we read or can we take this together? Yes, 1, 2, go. Authentication and what? Authorization. We said someone has authority over this house. That means that person has what it takes to be here. That means the person has what it takes to take charge. That you have placed you in this class to take charge, to take authority. That shows that you are in control. So at this intermediate end, one of the ways, one of the measure we use in securing this is through authentication and authorization. You want to have access to a page. You want to log into an account. It happens to some of those accounts that we have there, to some of those applications that we use, to some of those mail, some of those services that we enjoy on the net. They want to confirm if you have authority over it. And to do that, they have to confirm that truly you are the one that owns the account by authenticating the information you input. That's why the place of password, that's where the place of your name also matters. They will want to know that. They will want to know that. But there's some things that we need to understand that under this authentication and authorization. For those of us that we have little knowledge about server, we like have picture of this. But in server environment, there is always a need of authentication and authorization to every account, to every user. You might be a domain user. You might have access to use any device. But for you to be able to use it, they have to check if you are real. Authentication is all about confirming if you are real. If it is Mr. Ayola that owns the account truly. If it is Mr. Ayola that have charge over that environment. So that's it. Number one, under this, we said remove or disable account upon loss of any account. This has to do with security. You have to understand this. Not at the end of the user this time around. Even at the end of the user, if you lose any account or you lose any information, that's why in banking system, let's say you lose your ATM card and you complain to the bank, what is the first thing they will do? Anyone? Yes? They will deactivate it. They will block it. Why? Because they are trying to protect the authentication and the authority on that card. That's what they are trying to protect. They know that if anyone should get hold of that card and know how to work their way around it, then your money is in danger. It's just like one Baba sometimes ago, he said he was somewhere at the comfort of his sitting room. He received the first alert, 50,000. He received the second alert, 50,000. He received the third one, 100,000. He had to shout. He had to run to bank. That's what happened. It's just because he has lost the authentication and authority on that account. So under this, when we notice that any account is not in operation, or we've lost the legibility of that account, please remove it. Remove it. Because we have any account that is idle, if anyone can work their way around it, then you are not safe. And if you look at the digital world nowadays, most of the things that you have work together. Most of those applications, they are running together on the network. You see, you open one application, then it will redirect you to another link using that same account that you have. So in a case where you've lost the legibility, where you've lost the power of that account, please remove it gingerly. All right, can we move on? Separate users and administrator accounts. There are different accounts when it comes to system. We have the administrator, then we have the user's account. The administrator and the user's account. Administrator is someone who has full privilege. For example, on our Windows device, there's some application or there's some times that they will prompt you if you want to run as an admin. What does that mean? Running as an admin we give you full control. We give you full charge over what you are doing. Are we together? But a user, there's limit to what a user can do. So on a server, on cloud, we have what we call the admin user. Like cloud, for example, let me use AWS for instance. They have what we call the root user, and they have what we call the IAM user. The root user are those that have full authority, that have full charge over whatever they are doing with their account. That's a root user. For those of us that we are planning to be a cloud practitioner, cloud engineer, cloud architect. So the door is open here as well. So you can be that. So then we have what we call the IAM user. Those IAM user, there is always limit to what they can do. You have to be the one that will give them permission to do all those things. So these are very, very important. When setting up, when working around here, you have to separate between the user and the administrator account. Because if anyone could get hold of an administrator account, they can do anything. That shows that they will have access to all the content, to all the information you have in your system. Don't forget, we mentioned that systems are a combination of different elements, components put together for a purpose. Please don't forget that, irrespective. So if I should have access to that system as an administrator, what else? It's a game over. I will finish that organization. I will do what I want to do. So that's what we need to do. Please, the next slide. The next slide. The next slide. All right. Using unique password for administrator accounts, we won't dwell much on that because we've talked about password protection the other time. So controlling repeated unsuccessful login attempts. We have to control that as a security personnel. Someone trying to log in, someone tried to penetrate to an account and is failing, and we didn't do anything to it. It's just a matter of time. It's on some accounts, on some websites. The only login attempt some will give you is just 3. That after that 3 attempts, they will tell you to consult who? Consult the admin. Why? It's because they are trying to control what comes in. They are trying to monitor each or individual account. That's what they are trying to do. So, which is very, very important. All right, please, the next slide. And also under that, there's what we call account lock. Account lock is a security measure that we put in place to automatically log out anyone that tries to attempt or penetrate to any account after some specified login or sign-in time. So it's part of the ways in which we secure a system. So we should have that in mind. For those of us using operating system, after like few attempts, if you have those security questions there, Windows, it will ask you to provide answer to what? To those security questions. Those are some of the security measures that is being put in place to secure, to protect. All right. We can lock or disconnect inactive remote section. Remote section. Remote, let me start with that, is all about accessing a system, network, infrastructure virtually. You might not be in that location. You might be in another location. You having access to such location is you working on it remotely. There are some measures that we need to put in place when we find ourselves in a case like that. You have to like determine, you have to like pick that, okay, if this person is not using this account, if this person is not having access to this within so time, please try to log them out. Some might be 10 minutes, some might be 15 minutes, some might be 30 minutes, depend on what they want. Please, can you move to the last part of this of the slide? The last part. My time is fast spent. There's a lot, but I'm working with time. Let me conclude with this because of my time. But let's understand this. In security, you can only secure, you can only protect what you know. What you don't know, you cannot protect. What you don't have their working principle, you applying the right security might be difficult. Being put together. I've mentioned the operating system is one part of it. The physical infrastructure that is being put together is one part of it. We setting up the network that we are using is still a system too. We have to understand all these parts one by one. So these are how far we can go when it comes to security, system security. But just know that security is important. But you understanding the asset you are protecting is more important. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Did we learn anything? Are we sure? If I ask us, will you be able to answer? Okay, let me just have just two people, very, very quickly, 30 seconds, and that would be just one thing you learned from today. Anybody? Let me see your hand. Let me see your hand. Great. Thank you very much. Just one thing you learned from today.
What I learned so far is you can't secure what you don't know.
You can't secure what you don't know. A round of applause for him. One other person. Don't worry. Don't do like this. Don't look away. Just look at me. One thing you learned from today. Anything at all.
I learned that knowing what you can secure is very important in computer system nowadays.
All right. A round of applause for him as well. All right. So we promised 1 o'clock. This is 1:11. It means we've used a little bit of time more, but we have to round off now. So this is what we're going to do. Questions and answers will be postponed until we resume back. Do we know what the resumption time is? Okay, you were not here early when we were making the announcement. All right, so because of the local government election and polls that is supposed to hold tomorrow, whatever session we're supposed to have tomorrow will be shifted to today. So we'll take a break now, and then we'll resume by 3 o'clock. That 3 o'clock is the hottest part of this cybersecurity program. Say hottest. Hottest. If you miss it, it's as if you did not come for Cybersecurity Week. So ensure that you don't miss it. So we're going to resume back by 3. If you have any questions and answers, it will definitely be answered then. Lastly, I want to ask my ogas first before I make this announcement. How many of us would like to have access to the slides? The slides that were used. All right. Are we going to be able to share the slides, sir? All right. So the slides are going to be shared because I noticed that because of the time, we had to quickly brush through some other things. But we are definitely going to share the slides with us. Thank you so much. We resume by 3 o'clock. Thank you, thank you, thank you.